there, friends and sane persons, and welcome to another episode of Wednesday Whimsy. My name is Kyle, and Wednesday Whimsy is a short show I do every Wednesday evening where I talk about a board game, a top 10 list, or some other board game-related topic, whatever happens to be on my mind at the time. I don't know why my camera looks a little different today, but well, who knows, right? One never knows. At least it's the right one. I've been eating some blue candy. I know that's a big shock, seeing my tongue looking like that. Anyway, as I've mentioned, I've been playing a lot of Kickstarter games lately, a lot of things that have come in. And one game that came in really kind of didn't look all that great. And so I kind of delayed playing it for a while. And I finally got it to the table, and I realized, this game's actually pretty good. And that's kind of what I decided to talk about. So this is going to be probably a recurring topic. We'll do them every now and then. The topic is going to be ugly duckling games. So these are games that don't look like anything special. Sometimes they're even ugly. These aren't all ugly games, although tonight they kind of are for the most part. They're games that just don't look all that interesting or don't look good. For whatever reason, that they just don't look like anything interesting, and then you play them and you're surprised, right? They shock you with their inner beauty. So that's what I'm going to be talking about today, and I'll tell you about 5 games. And so this will be kind of a topic we pick up once a quarter or so whenever I feel like it. Anyway, that's what I've got for you. So without any more delay, let's get into my number 5. My number 5 is the only truly, well, not the only truly ugly game, but one of the truly ugly games on my list. This is a game that has some of the worst artwork in board games. It is a game that just looks awful. Now, it's from a designer I love. It's a game I enjoy. I give this one a 7 out of 10, and I really enjoy the gameplay. There's all this interesting combo that's going on, but the game is called Inhabit the Earth. Let me show what we've got here. And it has famously bad board art or box artwork, right? We've got these animals with these huge eyes that look kind of creepy. They look like they're high, or like they stayed up too late watching porn. We've got this zebra over here who's particularly egregious. I don't know that I've even noticed it before, because usually I'm stuck on the late night lion, or the elephant. But look at this zebra here. It's particularly bad artwork, and it's all throughout the game. The game itself is really interesting. It's a game about moving up on tracks and trying to sort of evolve and develop your traits so that you can succeed at in different habitats all over the world. It's a really interesting game, and it's actually one that I've been thinking about getting back out again. I've got it. I can actually see it in the closet here. It's been a long time since I've played it, and it's a game that doesn't look like much. Besides the box art, the board art isn't all that interesting. It's just some fairly bland looking tracks with a few symbols on them, and the tokens you have are just these different animal tracks. So, I mean, just on the whole, the game doesn't look like anything special. The iconography is very kind of clip arty, and it's a good game. I like it a lot. It's just oh, look at that. That is an amazing orangutan. Let's look at this orangutan here. Ooh, I think it's an orangutan. Sorry, a howler monkey. It's that kind of quality all the way through. Anyway, that's my number 5 for today's Ugly Duckling games. Inhabit the Earth. Let's go on to number 4. Number 4 is a classic of ugly games. This is one of the ugliest games that ever existed. And and now it has a nice new version that's much better. I'm trying to find the old version here. But the game is called The Castles of Burgundy. Castles of Burgundy is a classic by Stefan Feld. It has sort of your typical boring nobleman looking out over the valley on the cover. We get into the actual pieces themselves. It's these maps. It's these tiny, thin chits. The boats look okay, but everything else is really drab. They've got very kind of boring color schemes going on. Everything on the board looks and feels kind of cheap and not very exciting. Contrast that with the gameplay, which is really interesting. You're going to be taking, I think it's 25 turns. You roll 2 dice, and each die allows you to take an action. The actions are going to be taking these tiles, putting them on your board, taking the tiles from your board and putting them out onto this world, trying to connect things, trying to fill in different blocks of the same color, trying to score points in a variety of ways. There's a bunch of expansions too. This game is definitely great, but we have these are these worker pieces, and they're functional. The dice are kind of boring dice, but really the game itself is just very brown and beige and not all that interesting looking. Yet it is a game that has really stood the test of time, and honestly, nobody's playing this edition anymore. You can probably find this edition for $10 because there's a new fancy edition from Awaken Realms, which says, hey, what if we made the game look good? And they have done so. So we trust them to make a nice game from a not nice looking game. But that is my number 4, Castles of Burgundy. Let's go on to my number 3. All right, my number 3 is the game that I was talking about earlier that I got it from Kickstarter, and it just kind of sat there because it did not look interesting. I mean, the theme looked interesting, and it had all these nice little figures on it, but when I opened the rule book was just this, this long sets of text with weird spacing and formatting, and then there are these icons that just look like clip art. I was like, oh, geez, what did I get? I felt like a cheap game that you get from a small publisher that really only makes one game and doesn't do it. What's that company that did that smoking game? Oh, I forget. Anyway, it's one of these Hollandspiele. Is that who it was? Doesn't matter. But there are these small companies that make these small games, usually war games, and they just don't look very good. And that's what this one looked like. The game is called Cretaceous Rails. So Cretaceous Rails, I might actually do a separate episode about it because it's just that good. You can see I rated it a 9 out of 10. From the box, it's like the name doesn't sound like that much. It just got these relatively not great dinosaur pictures going on. And then, you get into it and they look like they're having a good time. The actual game, when it's finally set up, which you couldn't really tell from the box, looks pretty amazing, right? We've got these dino models, and that's pretty great. But sort of getting there takes a little bit of time. This is the part that really was an off-putter for me, was this action selection board. It's just got these, they really just look like they came from clip art. And, you're just going to put your thing out there and think, okay, well, I'll do a binocular and a chainsaw. And the rule book itself is really not great looking. It's a fine rule book. It explains the game well. Oh, and there are these cheap cardboard trains. Those are still there. So, I looked at the game. There was too much color going on. There's somebody has a birthday cake. Somebody really loves the game. And the box didn't look great. And really nothing about it looked all that interesting. And it made me wonder, well, why did I buy it then? Excuse me. It's Kickstarter for you. But once I got it out and played it, I was immediately hooked. There's a lot going on here, but it's all really boiled down. It's a 16-turn game usually, unless you play with one of the expansions. And you're building stuff up, and there's a bunch of different ways to go. And you can you can focus on 1 or 2 dinosaurs and just sort of ramping them up to the max. Or you can kind of do a little bit of everything and try and build up your resort and get all these cards and special abilities. It's a fantastic game, but it did not look like much. So that's my number 3. Let's go on to my number 2. My number two, I remember a couple years ago, 2023, Ilya and I were doing our Essen preview, and he had it on his list. And I looked at it and I said, oh, I was out. But I'm sure glad I didn't stay out because this game is just great. This was an instant 10 out of 10 for me, as you can see. This game is Anunnaki. Anunnaki was one of the best games that came out last year. It's one of the best games to come out in a long time. It's just really good. But when I saw it all set up, it had these large, it's got this wheel thing that looked really uninteresting. It's a huge table hog. It's got these large world things. And I just looked at it and I thought, oh my goodness, that looks like a kind of game for someone else. This board here those are different than the ones I have. These are, I guess, wooden pieces, but I've got plastic ones. But the boards looked uninteresting and it looked like it would take up so much space. And there were all these just very boring looking things about it. And I wasn't all that intrigued about the theme. I mean, it just felt like another word, Anunnaki. But the final production, with the minis look fine. They're not the nicest minis. But the game itself is really good. And this boring looking action selection wheel, oh my goodness, it's one of my favorite action selection mechanisms in any game ever. You're sort of always able to choose whatever you want, but kind of encouraged to do different things in specific orders, ways to kind of build stuff up. This game's really good. I still don't like the icons. I think these resource symbols look boring. I wish this board were higher quality. It's like partially, it's dual layered, but only really these pieces for the gems or for these cubes to sit in. It feels like it could have used another go to make it deluxe. Kind of is in an identity crisis. The boards themselves are still really drab looking. But the gameplay, oh my goodness. This was an instant 10 for me. And it still is. It's one that if somebody wanted to play, I would gladly get out right now. So what's my number one? Well, let's see. All right, my number one is my favorite one to talk about because of kind of where it was and where it has gone. This is a game I rate a 10 out of 10. This is a game that has been with me for almost 15 years now. It is a game that brought my family closer together. It is a game that I am always playing. I have 3 or 4 matches going on online right now. This game is Summoner Wars. And let me tell you, when I saw Summoner Wars, I was not hooked. The name sounds really boring, and this is the original Summoner Wars set, right? This isn't what it looks like today, but it's a paper mat that folds up. It's got these cards with really kind of very simplistic artwork. Nothing here looks very special. It looks like somebody doesn't know how to play because they have the wrong summoner with these units, but and over here as well, it must be a team match. Actually, it is a team match. Well, there we go. This game really looked awful, and it has weird cards that are sideways, and it was these 4 decks, and I finally was like, well, I got to try this, right? Let's just. I mean, this is the setup card. Look at this thing. It's just a whole bunch of letters. And there you can see the paper mat that just kind of bows up in the middle. And the cards weren't great. I mean, they look, I like them still, but they kind of looked rough. The artwork is really not selling it. I mean, none of this says buy me. This says sort of cheap, independent collectible card game or RPG or something. And yet, I gave this game a try. And after one game, I was like, yeah, that's kind of amazing, right? This is really good. I like it. I like how these 2 factions feel so different. My first game was the Tundra Orcs versus the Cave Goblins. So I bought both of the starter sets. And I played it with a friend, and I was just enamored. And I stayed with the game and I kind of watched it. And I watched it kind of grow and develop. And it became my favorite game. So even though I don't know what that is, this must be visual health for the wall or something. But Summoner Wars from 2009 was a really ugly game. And yet, despite the fact that it's just dripping with awesome. Custom Summoner Wars board. Huh. Well, that would have been nice. But that never came to fruition. Anyway, the game itself has gone through a lot of iterations. Let me see if I can find the 2.0 version. There's now Summoner Wars 2.0, or second edition, I guess, where they've redone the artwork. And the artwork is different, but more professional looking, right? It's more intentional. That old artwork looks like it was found somewhere. The new version, the game looks the same, but it's on a mat. And, we've got cleaner iconography, better card design, but the same gameplay. That gameplay has not changed much since 2009. This is a game that I am so glad I decided to try. I'm glad I didn't judge based on its appearance because it was not amazing looking, but it is amazing. Anyway, that's all for today. I have many more I could talk about, but we're already kind of at the limit of time, and I said I was only going to do 5, so I guess I better do 5. That's kind of it for this week's episode of Wednesday Whimsy. We're getting close to the end of the quarter, so soon we'll be doing quarterly countdown, but I think I have another episode before we get there. I hate my blue tongue. I'm sorry about that. That must be very disturbing to watch. I better not eat those things before I record anymore. But that's what I've got for you tonight. So don't judge games too much by their cover. I can see another game I'll talk about next time I do this, actually. But yeah, that's what I've got for you. I'm going to wish you safe travels, courage when you need it, and I hope to see you back again next time for another episode of Wednesday Whimsy. Bye-bye.